She walked onto a stage built to mock her, alone, outnumbered, live in front of millions. As Stephen Colbert fired the first joke, the crowd laughed, but Karoline Leavitt didn't. She leaned in, and with one sentence, the entire studio fell silent. What did she say that left even Colbert speechless? Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe. Tomorrow's story is one you won't want to miss. The lights of the Late Show flickered to life, casting a familiar glow across the studio. Stephen Colbert sat behind his desk, confident as ever. The audience buzzed with excitement, expecting a night of satire and safe laughter. But across from him sat Karoline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary in U.S. history, alone, unflinching, and outnumbered. She locked eyes with the host. Colbert, grinning, smirked and launched the opening jab. "So, Karoline, are you here to defend Trump or teach me how to use TikTok?" The room erupted in laughter, but Karoline remained calm. With a steady voice, she said, "I'm here to speak the truth, Stephen, something you might have stopped doing a long time ago." The crowd froze. A few murmurs replaced laughter. Colbert blinked, taken aback. The energy shifted. Karoline wasn't there for the jokes. She was there for something bigger. Colbert, trying to recover, leaned into his desk, fingers steepled, and responded with sarcasm. "Karoline, I didn't expect someone from the White House to show up looking ready for a college debate team." Laughter echoed around the studio, but Karoline didn't flinch. Her posture stayed steady. "I'm here to speak the truth, something you might have stopped doing years ago," she said. The laughter collapsed into silence. Colbert, now visibly thrown, tried another punchline, but Karoline's cool demeanor didn't waver. "It's easy to mock people from behind a desk," she said, "but what do you actually risk?" The studio shifted. Some chuckled nervously, unsure if this was part of the show or the unraveling of one. "I stand in front of a room full of reporters every day. No applause, no laugh track, no second take. I take questions, I give answers, and I own what I say," she continued. Colbert's smile tightened. He reached for another line, but it came out softer. The show was no longer about jokes. It was becoming a confrontation. "You say I don't speak the truth," Colbert said, trying to shift the conversation. "But satire is truth. It's how I expose hypocrisy and failed policies." Karoline didn't flinch. "No, Stephen, you do it because it's safe. You throw stones from behind a wall of laughter. You dress up criticism as comedy so you never have to answer for it." The crowd stirred, some unsure whether to laugh or listen. Colbert, attempting to regain his footing, said, "So now I'm dodging responsibility by being funny." Karoline didn't hesitate. "Yes, because when laughter becomes your shield, you never have to face the people you hurt." Colbert attempted to argue. "I've had politicians come after me. I've taken my fair share of heat." Karoline didn't let him finish. "You sit here, night after night, surrounded by applause, protected by producers. You've built an empire on satire. But where's the risk? Where's the responsibility?" The room was silent. Colbert, visibly unsettled, tried to crack a smile, but it didn't land. "So what do you want, Karoline?" he asked, "for late night to go silent?" "No," she replied. "I want people to think before they laugh. Who pays the price for this joke? Because I've seen it. I've watched good people get shredded by a segment, turned into memes, mocked online, and left to deal with the consequences. That's not harmless. That's cruel." For the first time, Colbert didn't have a quip ready. He was silent. Karoline continued, "You think it's all a joke, but for millions of us, it's our lives, our reputations. When you turn it into comedy, you strip it of meaning." Colbert tried to defend himself. "We go after the system, not the people." Karoline shook her head. "You don't challenge systems. You mock individuals. You clip headlines for humor, while people on the ground deal with the fallout." Karoline paused, then shared a story. "His name was Jake. He worked on my campaign. Brilliant, humble, the kind of guy who didn't want the spotlight, but did all the work no one saw. Your show ran a segment mocking our campaign. Jake lost his job, not because he did anything wrong, but because of a viral meme." She locked eyes with Colbert. "He spiraled. He told me he felt worthless. All because someone thought it was funny." The room grew silent. Colbert shifted uncomfortably. Karoline's voice softened, but carried weight. "Intent doesn't erase impact. You didn't know Jake. You didn't ask. You just laughed, and the world followed." The silence in the studio was thick. Colbert, no longer quick with a response, took a deep breath. "That wasn't our intent. We go after the system," he murmured. But Karoline was resolute. "The system isn't the only thing you mock. You mock people," she continued. Jake came back. He didn't give up, and now he's one of the most loyal people I know. But he never forgot what that moment did to him. Neither did I. Colbert sat still, a somber expression replacing his usual grin. Karoline, unwavering, said, "This isn't entertainment, Stephen. It's real life. Some of us carry those jokes for the rest of our lives." The room felt heavy, no longer driven by entertainment, but by reflection. "What do you want, Karoline?" Colbert asked again, his voice quieter now. "For people to think, Stephen, to recognize the impact behind the laughter." The show's tone had shifted. For the first time in years, Colbert wasn't in control. He was speechless. Karoline had flipped the narrative. It wasn't about jokes. It was about responsibility. After the show, clips of the confrontation flooded social media. On X, the hashtag Leavitt Coldana Screen Ranter shot to the top of the national trending list. The viral video of Karoline's quote, "This isn't entertainment. This is real life," amassed millions of views in hours. The response was swift. Conservative outlets praised her courage. Some even liberals acknowledged her strength. "Look, I don't agree with her politics, but she held her own," one host said. Karoline's message wasn't just a challenge to Colbert, it was a challenge to the culture. For Gen Z, it became a rallying cry. Who pays the price for this joke? Became a question that demanded attention. In the weeks following, the impact continued to ripple. Karoline wasn't just a political figure anymore. She had become a cultural force. Invitations poured in for speeches at universities. The viral moment had changed something in the media landscape. Even Colbert's fans admitted, "I've never seen him off balance like that." Karoline's story about Jake became a symbol of the personal cost of public ridicule, and her insistence on accountability resonated deeply. She had taken on one of television's most beloved satirists, not with insults, but with truth. And in doing so, she didn't just silence him, she changed the conversation. Back in Washington, D.C., Karoline sat in her office, reflecting not on the applause, but on responsibility. A photo of Jake, the young campaign staffer whose story had shifted everything, sat on her desk as a quiet reminder. She wasn't just defending her work or her reputation. She was reshaping the media's role in public discourse. Her televised speech later that week echoed her message. Truth isn't negotiable. Impact isn't accidental. It became the defining moment of her career, challenging all of us to think about what happens when the joke stops being fun.